the respect of non-intervention. This is shameful. However, the countries of America did not allow this to happen. They were dignified. I would like to close by saying this. How many presidents, how many businessmen is the word that you will use, how many do we have in America? Take numbers. United States, that's the boss of this corporation. Mexico, Honduras, Colombia, Chile, almost all of them, Argentina, and many others. Some of them, like Kuczynski, are no longer in power due to corruption. But it is a corporation of governments, of business governments of the right wing that want to dominate the people of our Americas. This will not happen. It's just a matter of time. The commander Chavez spoke about strategic patience. So the peoples in these countries where they were taken away from power with all the type of tactics used, with media war, psychological war, political financing, so they could come back to power. And President Nicolás Maduro, who's the constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, that was re-elected on May 20th, just some days ago, with a percentage of votes, that's a record, 68% of support of voters. That president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, withdrew from the OAS. We left the OAS, and President Maduro, yesterday, additionally told us that he is going to provide some statements about this in order to make decisions that will even speed up this process. But we cannot continue under a multilateral so-called organization that is supposed to defend the principles and the rights in terms of public law, the principles of the Charter of the United Nations, the principles of their own charter, but they violate all of them due to the orders given by the imperial managers. We are proud. We feel joy. We are rejoiced. The Venezuelan country to withdraw from the OAS. Keep your organization. We give it to you. We put a ribbon over it. It is no longer worth it. We hope that it will work again one day, because at some point, some state believed that this was training, that imperialism could be neutralized in this organization. But no, we believe that it cannot. And as long as this is the case, Venezuela will be happily away from the organization of American states. Thank you very much. Now, let's listen to questions. We're going to listen to the first question. Yesterday, the Secretary General mentioned that Venezuela could not stop or withdrew from the OAS due to the government. Therefore, they couldn't leave the organization. I would like to know your opinion about this comment. Secondly, could you speak a little bit more about the statements that President Maduro will provide about the measures? What are these statements? Thank you. Okay. So, the general killer of the OAS, he is a hired gun against Venezuela. This is the case. There are hired guns as governments that they're only in government because they want to destroy either the Kirchner or the ones that are for President Lula. They don't have a project as a country or a dream or a hope for the people. They want to destroy a project. The same thing happened at the OAS. There was a hired gun who wants to kill Bolivarianism. This is a great discussion. It's between the Monroe Doctrine of 1823 that established President Monroe and his Secretary of State, John Quincy Adams, that this hemisphere, as they call it, from Alaska to Patagonia, belongs to the United States of America, and they have the right to intervene whenever they want against Bolivarianism. That was the one that liberated, in a dignified way, from the Spanish Empire, all the countries. The liberating Venezuelan army is the only one that has left their borders to continue freeing people and hasn't kept any money or any territory, but has come back to continue living in freedom, respecting sovereignty of those states that they fled. So here, the discussion is at a greater level. Is there a struggle between the relationships of our America, Latin America and the Caribbean, and North America? So here, there's a higher gun against Venezuela. Shameful, disgraceful. I don't want to waste time to speak about this person. I don't think we should speak about this person. This is the Constitutional Law of Venezuela. If I'm not mistaken, Article 236.
Correcto. Atribuciones del presidente de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela.
President of the Republic of Venezuela. The fourth one, direct foreign affairs of the Republic and celebrate and notify the agreements internationally. So it's a Venezuelan system that is a presidentialist one or semi-presidentialist, depending on the methodology or theory applied. The president is the one directing international relations, one of the faculties that the people give them with the elections. The ones of 2013, the recent election, and President Nicolás Maduro has decided to withdraw. And he is the only one capable of making this decision. The rest are just some tools of the imperialism to confuse you, so that you can then confuse the people with the media, with the screens, with the phones, with the social networks, with the papers. That's why our duty is to clarify this. 13 months have gone by since the decision of Venezuela was made. The charter establishes that are 2 years. I cannot speak about these statements. As you asked, President Nicolás Maduro will provide his statements. As you know, he's willing to speak about foreign policy. He was chancellor for 6 years of Commander Hugo Chavez. And then we are going to have a pleasant surprise for this. Then we will continue.
Gracias, canciller. Tengo dos preguntas.
I have two questions for you.
Ya sé lo que ha contado usted de
After what you mentioned about the Caribbean countries, but there are 19 countries in America
que ayer desconocieron explícitamente
that did not acknowledge President Maduro as rightfully elected in Venezuela. Among this country, one of them was an ally of Caracas. And amongst the countries, you could have voted, you could have been the only ones voting against this. There are two countries, Nicaragua and Ecuador, that were also allies for many, many years. Could you please analyze these events? And also, is there any option to change your mind about this? Listen, first of all, there are 19 countries with the peoples. There are corporate governing elites that have kidnapped the political power that belongs to the people. But this would be a political and theoretical debate. The pressure put on the countries, maybe in Palestine, which took place with the United Nations in those elections, when the government of President Trump decided to bring the embassy to Jerusalem by violating every resolution of the United Nations, then the pressure was big, and the chancellors received letters from the Secretary of State and emails stating that they had to support or vote against this resolution of the United Nations. And some countries gave in. They caved to the pressure. This was the pressure put on here. So no one should have stopped voting. Everyone should have voted for the resolution, because if not, they were against the commander-in-chief of the most powerful army in history and the most powerful country. Also, we are part of the influence area of this country, the country that treated us as their children. Even the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Canada, with her intervention the day before yesterday, mentioned that it was the backyard. We are no one's backyard. We are sovereign and dignified countries. We aren't backyards. So this is a concept we need to review. See yourselves as those countries. Think about those countries. Here we have all the countries. In this organization, with a resolution, you can either support it or not. If you decide not to, you're telling whoever is proposing this that you are not agreeing. So it's like voting against. And this is the result. Yesterday, they weren't able to call. I don't know who was in charge in this case, but the Lima Group was directed by Kuczynski, the former president of Peru. Now it has been taken by Sebastián Piñera, and maybe Chancellor Puero had the duty to call Mike Pence and tell him, let's go to dinner, let's celebrate because we have accomplished the mission. Mission accomplished. Mr. Pence, we've achieved this. We have 34 votes to expel Venezuela of the OAS. They were unable to do so, and they were desperate due to this event, but it was the case. Now, about what you call humanitarian aid. Please review what they did, what happened in the Dominican Republic in 1965. Review that. Investigate what happened. We mentioned this the day before yesterday, but it's important for you to have this information as well. 10th consultation meeting of Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the OAS. Final act. This consultation meeting took place from May 1st, 1965 until March 6, 1970, where the invasion to the Dominican Republic took place. So, for example, they decided, concerned about the humanitarian condition, to request government of member states.
No, perdón, aquí es primero.
Excuse me, it's not the one. Address member states so that within their possibilities at the disposal of the Secretary General of the OAS, doctors, nurses, food, medicine, medical teams to be sent immediately to the Dominican Republic with a humanitarian purpose of providing relief to the population of this country according to their needs. You know that immediately after that, what happened with the stool when they created the American force, request the government member states that are able to do so that within their possibilities, and as long as they can, supply the OAS with Navy, land, and air contingency, as well as with police forces, so military, in order to create an American force that will work under the authority of this 10th consultation meeting. That's a lie. What authority? It was under the authority of the Commander-in-Chief back then. Who was the President of the States? Johnson. Johnson was the President. 1965. Invasion to the Dominican Republic with a humanitarian purpose according to this organization, of course violating all the regulations. Back to your question. 14 rounds of sanctions against Venezuela. We had to start our vaccination campaign with a 4th-month delay because we weren't able to pay the bank. Even though we had resources, we couldn't pay banks here in the States. Even though we had resources, so that the WHO could send vaccines to Venezuela. After the WHO provided the exemption and we were able to pay, we have already vaccinated almost 3 million of Venezuelans in record time. You know that important banks, Citibank, Bank of America, they have all stopped relationship with us. So it's difficult for us to get food, medicine, and then due to Commander Chavez, that was able to diversify international relations, and with President Maduro as a chancellor, we have allies as Russia, as Turkey, and China, but we're creating new routes as well in order to meet the needs of the people. India as well. Because these sanctions that are only unilateral coercion measures that aren't part of international law against Venezuela. Listen, this is so absurd. They want to drown Venezuela. And whenever Venezuela is done, they tell them, listen, I will be sending humanitarian support. I will not allow you to buy food or medicine. You will not be paid for your oil. I will turn you in every way possible. Your financial system will be broken. A crypto asset as a pet will also be sanctioned. So as you cannot do anything to me, you will have to request support. And with this, we'll have the military. This is what happened with the Spanish Wall. This is the story of Latin America. It's imperialism of the United States. You must also understand this is part of the historic struggle. This is the pattern of the Americans ever since the beginning of the last century. And this will not work in Venezuela, because Venezuela is the place where Simón Bolívar, the liberator, was born, where Francisco Miranda was born, Hugo Chávez was born in Venezuela. In Venezuela, we'll not be able to apply this. This will not happen. We will solve our problems with our resources. If you want to help us, then avoid sanctions and block us. Stop the blockade. Then provide financing plans if you want to support us. Then for the international system to give us credit, give us letters of credit. Now, we cannot even have bonds for our debt. We cannot even retrieve the earnings of our companies in the United States. This is forbidden. We cannot do this. And this is against the Venezuelan people. This is against our medicine, our food. This is investment of Venezuela in order to improve the production of oil. We will not be part of this game. And we are aware that many Latin countries also want to help us to open spaces, open routes, look for financing mechanisms. The United Nations, the FAO, the WHO, the PAHO, as well as the UNDP. They want to help us. Well, I cannot tell you, but even some organizations of the United Nations have been affected by the sanctions of the United States because the money cannot reach their projects so they can proceed with their projects. And this is, of course, terrible. That is why today we are trying to open new ways. President Nicolás Maduro has welcomed senators and congressmen of the States, as well as other people, diplomats from the United States. We will continue. Civilized nations should always talk, have dialogue. They should use the tools of international public law and common sense of our people in order to neutralize the risk of peace and security. This is what we're doing. And I think that we will be successful because in the United States there are also smart and coherent people that want to respect Venezuela and want to avoid war and destruction. Next question.
Buenas tardes. Me gustaría saber, primero si puede terminar una apreciación sobre por qué.
Could you please tell us what you see the decisions of Ecuador and Nicaragua? What does it mean to you? What has happened about this event? What do you think about the positions proposed for this? Thank you. I forgot to speak about this before. Visit Puerto Rico. The United States haven't sent. We're not speaking about humanitarian aid. We're speaking about the right of Puerto Ricans. They are part of the Union. They're citizens. And they say there are 64 dead. But according to surveys of Harvard studies, there are maybe 4,000 dead if they don't have power, if they don't have food, if the roads are destroyed. Do you reckon that they will send humanitarian support to Venezuela? Let us not be naive. That would be foolish. Common sense explains this. Puerto Rico will be a free nation in the future, but today is an associated state to the Union. There's a limit. We have boundaries in the sea of our territory. Well, not territory, but we have maritime limits with the United States via the sovereignty they have in Puerto Rico. And to go to Puerto Rico, unfortunately, you need to get a visa on the embassy of the States. And the United States are not sending support to Puerto Rico. So this is not humanitarian. Don't fall in this trap, dear journalists, dear researchers. About the votes and who decided not to vote. The most important thing, see it from the position of Mike Pence or the United States. Either you vote for the resolution or you're against me. That's what we can read of this. This is the only possible way of understanding this. That's why yesterday they couldn't call and tell, listen, Mr. Pence, mission accomplished. They weren't able to do so. This is because of the people. The country didn't want anything in exchange. I'll tell you something that happened yesterday. It's confidential. Yesterday's meeting was suspended. This is, of course, bureaucracy with their excuses. And after half an hour, the delegations of many countries that were sitting next to me that are part of the cartel of the Lima Group, they said, well, half an hour has gone by. Almost 2 hours went by. And in the halls, I saw a meeting there, and another meeting there, people calling other people, calling their friends, putting pressure on them, putting more and more pressure on, calling people on the phone, NGOs here that were defending human rights, according to them. Pressure and more pressure. And they had to vote. Then this country, some of them gave in, some of them caved. I don't know. I don't know. This is part of not your question. But when these countries had to vote, they decided to vote against the resolution. Now, we want to open a space with Trump's administration. Hopefully, the Chancellor of the Republic of Venezuela could meet with the Secretary of State of Trump's administration and speak in equal conditions, with mutual respect, about what we agree on, about our strategic projects and our differences as well. This is the duty of foreign affairs, of international relationships, according to the Charter of the United Nations, and according to logic and the best for our peoples. I hope that this will happen. However, we've tried to do this, and there have been congressmen, both from the Republican and Democrat Party, that have decided against because they want to avoid war, they want to avoid sanctions, they don't want to see people suffering, they don't want to violate international order and the Charter of the United Nations. They don't believe that with this they can have positive effects. They don't want to see blood being shed. That's why we're doing this. Hopefully, I could speak directly to Mike Pompeo. We will try all means to do so. We call this Bolivarian diplomacy for peace. This is the name given to it by Hugo Chavez. Peace above everything. We'll look for peace. However, if we are attacked, if we're invaded, then there will be retaliations. We retaliate. I follow the instructions of President Maduro. Retaliate whenever they speak about Venezuela in bad terms, to attack, to go against us. Then respond. Say what you have to say. Retaliate. We did this. And this is what we will continue doing for every aspect, for every sector, whenever it's needed. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señor canciller. Dos preguntas. Preocupada Venezuela ante las posibles sanciones.
Now, Venezuela has different sanctions. What do you reckon of them? What will happen with the sanctions? What will happen with the United States? What has Maduro decided for this? We aren't concerned about this. This and mass imperialism that has developed during the last 2 years, since Donald Trump is the president, then it is specifically what happened yesterday in the OAS. Pressure, extortion, blackmailing, limitless. It's positive at the end of the day. We need to learn from this. The peoples of our Americas are understanding an mass imperialism. It's no longer under the table with phone calls. Now, this is clear. It's open. It's no longer a private meeting. Now, they tell this publicly. And this will be helpful because peoples will wake up. Even the American people. The American people are not identified with the government as the one they have. The one that tries to put pressure. The ones that want to become a dictatorship. That is a dictatorship. The one that the United States want to have over the rest of the peoples of the world. And the United States don't like dictatorships. They like democracy. They like freedom. They like creativity. They like to innovate, and they don't want to be subject to anyone's power. So we're not concerned about this. Listen, this is maybe disrespectful, and even the Chancellor of Chile said that this was disrespectful. I'm not disrespecting anyone, I'm just answering. I would love to see Venezuela respected, not only with words, but also with sanctions, some of them illegal, by impeding imports as well. But this is not the case. Hopefully Venezuela would be attacked only by words, or mistreated maybe, but not with force, as Donald Trump did on August 8 last year. So there's a popular saying about the owner of the circus and the workers. I respect circus workers even more than the owners. But even the example that I said is a big corporation of government with the manager, Donald Trump. Behind Donald Trump there are other bosses. So it's a great power. It's a companion of the military industry, the one of Eisenhower, plus all the financial world developed around this throughout these decades, putting the pressure on. They are the ones. Washington is the one that we need to deal with. We need to speak with them, or maybe fight against them. The rest of them just follow orders. And we need to address the main ones. We cannot be worn out with managers. We need to go and directly speak with the CEO. Speak to the CEO and then start actions. Actions required, always following a positive perspective. President Nicolás Maduro, during his electoral campaign, maybe you didn't see it, because censorship for the Venezuelan media is atrocious, specifically in the United States and the rest of the countries of America. But there were public activities, and I could only remember the activities carried out by Hugo Chavez with a number of people, but also right-wing candidates were able to bring the number of people that was also big, and the proposals were completely different. Our proposal, socialist proposal, a strong state, a social economy that's strong as well, property and private companies that participate under the regulations needed, a sovereign proposal, nationalist, for Latin America, against the empire, against the IMF, against dollarization, against neoliberalism, completely different. And the Venezuelan people elected this freely, as some other peoples are often not able to do so. And President Maduro spoke about conciliation, about dialogue. Listen, Hugo Chavez, on December 31st, create a decree of amnesty to all those people around the world looking for sanctions for Venezuela, those who were in the streets killing people, setting things on fire. Everyone who was part of the coup of 2002, due to the exhortation of Hugo Chavez, were exempted from their responsibilities. And President Nicolás Maduro, regardless of this example, many of them is giving them benefits, or activating a process after the relapse for the Constituent Assembly and the judicial power, allow them to have benefits and for them to be set free. Those who 1 year ago, until July 31st, because of the election on the 30th, there was peace in Venezuela, and until July 31st, they were destroying the country. They were creating hatred and violence in the country, and President Maduro, only 1 year after, decided to have a goodwill gesture for conciliation. And based on this spirit, also, there was a meeting with Senator Colker, and also with Congress member Hatch, with Donny Hatch, that also spoke about this American who was processed under the guarantees of this duly processed in Venezuela, because when he was apprehended, he had weapons, he was carrying weapons, and there was a lot of pressure. His freedom was demanded, and Maduro said, if we're going to do so with criminals of Venezuela, the politicians that committed crimes, we're also going to do this with the people of the States. Senator, a coherent man, has come and addressed me, a respectful man, with a lot of difference with us. However, we can speak to them, and we did so, and nothing was given in exchange. It was just a gesture to open spaces as the one that we were able to follow today, and I hope to continue on this path. Next question.
Les deja a ustedes más aislados el hecho de querer salir. Y la segunda, si salen,
now, the different relationships taking place in Venezuela
Gracias.
and the organization. What could you tell us about this? Thank you. Isolated from who and from what? That's our question. The peoples of our America must respect the Bolivarian Revolution. I acknowledge the fight of President Nicolás Maduro. Those trying to translate it are the elites, the corporation elites. This for us is nonsense. It has no impact on us, this type of isolation. We are in the core of the peoples. Chavez became part of the heart of the people, and President Maduro has shown his continuity of this work. And as I mentioned to the Argentinian Chancellor, there were other meetings with chancellors where I couldn't even greet him. I greeted the rest of them, and I spoke to the Minister of Brazil, but it was impossible to speak to the Argentinian one, because he believes that if you ever shake hands with a Chavez, then this will be spread as a disease. But no, the love for peoples, respect to countries, wanting them to be free, is not a disease, it's a virtue, it's a process, it's a conviction, it's a project, a view of the world, and this is beautiful. We don't feel isolated from anything or anyone. On the other hand, we are getting more and more respect. Every day, we're earning more attention and a positive view, regardless of the media, regardless of press agencies, regardless of the blockade against Venezuela. Let's always comply with our commitments. We will need to acknowledge whether we can or we can't pay for this debt. It's difficult for us to pay the salaries of our workers in the States and other countries that use the American banks. There are methods, so if this happens, we'll pay. But Venezuela will always comply with their duties and with their commitments made with any organization, because for us, respect for international law is fundamental. Next question. Chancellor, based on this meeting of the OAS, yesterday it was stated that certain things happened. What were the words said here? Who are you speaking about? Who wrote this?
¿Qué tiene que decir sobre la deuda que no han pagado en 4 años? Y dice que no lo han pagado por las sanciones que acaban de suceder hace 2 años y el trato cruel de George Holt.
Listen,
hay un procedimiento regular.
There's a normal procedure. Consular visits, and Mr. Holt just says the rest of the Americans, there are other Americans who are in prison in Venezuela due to crime, but no one cares about them. They're all visited by the consulates, however often it's required. So come on, let's stop this trap. There's no church in Venezuela. We're not killing people due to political reasons. I don't think that even the people from CNN in Spanish believe this. 2 years went by. But listen, you saw him leaving. Maybe someone tortured in a CIA jail, the clandestine jails in Europe, would leave jail in the conditions that yours left. And I don't even know who Joshua Holt is, because the rest of people processed don't care about this, but there was a lot of pressure for this person. However, he is now in freedom, he's with his family, with his wife, regardless of the doubts. weren't able to end the process because there were going to be witnesses as statements and proofs. But we do these type of things for peace. We will pay all our international commitments as long as circumstances allow this in the financial system and they don't try to isolate Venezuela economically. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
So that brings the Foreign Minister's news conference to an end.